what are the different types of utopia that you think are relevant to this discussion, and how do they differ, and what are some of the basic problems that they confront the utopia dweller with?
Yeah, so this is how I classify them for my purposes. But you could think of a first category of sort of culture and politics utopias. Many of the classical works fall into this category, where basically the author tries to imagine a better political system or a better sort of culture. So maybe you think there would be a different system of governance, or like the gender roles would be defined differently, or the way that children relate to their parents. And then different authors have different views about the optimal way to arrange this, and the optimal way would then be a utopia. Now, a slightly more, I guess, radical, or like at least in one dimension more radical conception of utopia would be an abundance utopia, where you imagine that there is plenty to go around, so all material needs are abundantly supplied. And you do also find some of these in the historical records. Like there was a kind of medieval fantasy of the land of Cockheim that's was a kind of peasant vision of like the ideal life. The rivers would flow with wine, and roasted turkeys would kind of drop down on the plate, and there would be music and dancing and a lot of time for relaxing. And you can see if you were like a kind of agricultural laborer, like doing backbreaking work from morn to dusk, and then just to have barely enough porridge to eat, like this would already be like a fantastic conception, right? Like you could eat as much as you want. You could just stuff yourself with food and rest all day, and like that. So that would be kind of an abundance utopia. And then we have a kind of post-work utopia, which is different from abundance utopia, in that not only is there plenty of everything, but humans don't need to work to produce it. And this is about as far as most mainstream conversation has gone in the context of AI. You do find some economists who are starting to think about automation and whether it could cause unemployment, and if so, what would happen? Like, you maybe need some universal basic income, etc. Like in Marx's Utopia, he doesn't write very much about it, but it seems he imagines there would be a sort of certainly a culture politics utopia according to his conception, and then there would be like less work and more abundance, but people would still be working. So it's kind of, but I think there are levels beyond that you could consider, which is much more radical and poses much more deep problems in terms of human values. So we have a post-instrumental utopia, where it is not just the need for human economic labor that is rendered odious by technological progress, but the need for all human labor that is instrumental in character. So, I mean, I mentioned like you might have to labor at the gym to be fit, but that you wouldn't have to do in utopia. Right now, if you want to understand mathematics, you have to first study mathematics and spend hours working on exercise problems and like really exerting yourself, right? But in this condition of technological maturity, there would be shortcuts to the same end. You could imagine some swarm of nanobots infiltrating your brain and rewiring your synapses into a condition where you now possess mathematical knowledge without you having to put out any effort. So that kind of, pulls the rug out of a wider range of human activity and exertion, not just like the job that you go and do for 8 hours a day, but most of what fills the rest of your time. And then there's like a final stage beyond that, which is I call a plastic utopia, which has all the attributes of a post-instrumental utopia. But in addition, the human organism itself becomes malleable and subject to our wishes and desires. So you could sort of choose what emotions you want to have, or what thoughts you want to have, or what moral character you want to have, or what like physiology. You have technologies to kind of reshape yourself at will, including your psychological states. and that then results in this kind of solved or almost dissolved world where like all the kind of hard limitations that we currently face like are removed, it seems, and the only thing that remains are kind of our values that I think have been shaped under this condition of scarcity, which has like always been there for humans throughout history, like, and it's almost like formed an exoskeleton, these practical needs. And if you were to remove all of those practical necessities, there is like the question of what happens to the soft squishy parts. Like, do they just become a blob, like a drugged out, a kind of pleasure blob, or can they take some more interesting shape? So that's like the main. There are a couple of early chapters that talk about some of these more economic and technological, but then the bulk of the issue is really set in this condition of a solved world.